Okay, with that, I'm delighted to introduce our speaker today, Leslie Huerta with Francie and Finch Bookstore in downtown Lincoln. I've met Leslie quite a few years ago, I think when she was first coming up with the idea of opening a bookstore. And so it's been fun to follow her progress, and I'm going to let her take it over and tell us about her business and what she's learned along the way. Thank you for being here, Leslie.
Great, thanks. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, it was a few years ago, and I was just kind of on my journey to figure out what I wanted to do with this bookstore idea. And the Southeast Community Entrepreneurship Center was, you were really all a part of it. You helped, I attended a lot of different sessions, and you helped me with my business plan in that. So thank you. But so we opened in November of 2016. So we are actually in our 5th year. Francie and Finch Bookshop. We are located downtown, like Steve said. We're in the old telephone building on South 13th Street. We sell books of all kinds, and there are new books as opposed to used books, although we certainly have books of all ages, and also original art. But I kind of wanted to start off, I don't know how many of you have been in the shop, but I have just a short little commercial I want to show you so you can see, because I'm not in the shop right now, I'm at home, so I don't have the beautiful books behind me. But let me show you a short commercial, it's just about 30 seconds, and then we can chat again. So let me get there.
Francie and Finch is Lincoln's local bookstore and art gallery. Our convenient downtown location makes it easy to stop by and browse our wide selection of modern works, as well as your favorite classics. Need a unique birthday gift? Francie and Finch can help there too. We also offer online orders with curbside pickup. Francie and Finch, books, art, chocolate.
Welcome to Francie and Finch Bookshop. It's a pretty special place in downtown Lincoln filled with lots of hand-picked titles, cool local artwork, and a large children's book section. A great staff always ready to help, and always free gift wrap. Francie and Finch Bookshop, downtown on 13th Street, just a block south of O.
Okay, so that gives you an idea of our little store, about 1,800 square feet. I'm the owner and also the head bottle washer. I always like to share that. I did a little interview with it was a high school newspaper, I think, and she asked for my title, and I said, well, I own Francie and Finch Bookshop. I'm also the head bottle washer. And when she came down to take the photos, she wanted to know where I kept all the bottles. But I think a lot of you probably are familiar with that term. I virtually lived there for the first 3.5 years. We were open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7:30 during the week, and noon till 7 on Saturdays. Closed on Sundays, but you could often find me in there, taking care of things. And I loved every minute of it. My dream was to be surrounded by this beautiful bookstore and meet the interesting people that come through. And I lived that dream, and it's been an incredible experience for me. Things are moving along. I have a full-time person now, so I'm able to step away from the shop more often and do things like I'm doing today, which is really, really great. Megan is the woman that's holding down the fort, and I'm really blessed to have, well, we've always had really great employees. It's funny how many people want to work in bookstores part-time because it is kind of a pleasurable experience. But the people are kind of what make it. And I have a few more pictures I want to show you. These aren't videos, but I pulled some pictures out of our photo album. So I'm going to try and share the screen. I'll try and do it a little bit smoother than I did with the video. So bear with me here. Okay, are y'all seeing Ted Kooser? Yeah, okay, good. It's so quiet in here. So we do a lot of author events. You probably do recognize that's Ted Kooser, Pulitzer Prize winner, U.S. Poet Laureate. He recently retired. We've had him in the shop several times for author events when he has new books that release. But he did retire this year, and we worked with the university to do a tribute. It was all virtual, it was all online, but we had almost 300 people that registered for the event. We like to highlight music in the shop also, and this is a fun picture. I love these guys. The band's name is Them Fangs. They're a rock and roll band from New York City, and they were in town for one of the music festivals, Lincoln Calling, I think it was. But they played a set in our shop, and they wanted this picture. That's the staircase outside our building. So, as I mentioned, we're in the telephone building downtown, which is pretty iconic, and that staircase is an original iron fire escape from 1894 is when the building was built. We are actually in a lot of people's photos. So you'll see us pop up in graduation pictures in particular, but that's Them Fangs. This one, so she's not in our bookstore, but you might recognize Paula Poundstone. This is a wonderful story. I adore Paula Poundstone. And if you don't know who she is, check her out on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me on Saturday morning. She's a stand-up comedian. She's very, very funny. She was in town a couple of years ago at the Lead Center with Dick Cavett, and she had a book coming out at the same time. And I do love Paula, so I've had this campaign to try and get her to come into the store. Social media, I contacted the hotels. I went to see her at the show. She didn't come in, but she heard about me. And long story short, she invited my husband and I to Chicago, and we did a pre-order for all of her books. We got about 60 of them, which is a pretty nice size order for a little bookstore like ours. And instead of shipping them to the shop, we shipped them to the Chase Auditorium in Chicago. We went to the show, and then Paula stayed afterwards and signed them all for us. And then we donated part of the proceeds to the library. She's a wonderful supporter of all things library. So that was fun. She's coming in July, so I'm hoping she comes in the shop. But all of you, if you have a chance to go see her at the Lead Center, she's really wonderful. So I didn't start these photos by telling you we have a hashtag on Instagram called "You Meet the Coolest People in Bookstores," because it really is kind of fun. Where we're situated, we're between like the Marriott, Cornhusker Marriott, and then we've got the Bourbon Theater and the Rococo Theater and the Lead Theater. So a lot of these performers are wandering about by our shop to begin with. Plus, they're mostly bookstore people, so they'll wander in. This guy is with the heavy metal band Korn, and every stop they make, if there's a bookstore nearby, he comes in and looks for a copy of Moby Dick. So that was my Korn picture. You might recognize Jeff Zeleny. He's the White House correspondent for CNN News. He actually is from Lincoln, but when he visits, he likes to stop in. Again, he's a bookstore person. And these are some great bookstore people. These are customers. They took seriously our Plaid Friday event, which we do at Francie and Finch every year, the Friday after Thanksgiving. It's typically Black Friday at all the big box stores with all the craziness, but we have Plaid Friday, so it's very low key. We have some hot cider, we give away some free gifts and some homemade toffee. And if you wear plaid, we ring the bell and we give you a special prize. So these were some enthusiastic customers. I've asked other bookstores as I meet them along the way to use the same hashtag because they all have great photos of fun and interesting people that come into their shops. So here's one I wanted to share with you, and that's our president. And this is before he was president. That's Emily, one of our bookstore reps for Abrams, but this is at Left Bank Books in St. Louis. So you do meet the coolest people in bookstores. So at Francie and Finch, we have built our customer base up to about 10,000 people. We have a little newsletter that goes out twice a week with book reviews, and it's linked to the events that we offer. And the events are really important. They're important to me because it gives me a really fabulous experience, to spend my time planning them and participating in them. But it's really important to the business just to kind of keep us relevant out there and to get people to come into the shop. And even if they can't attend the event, if they know about it, they think of Francie and Finch for these types of things. So I showed you the picture of Ted Kuzer. We do regularly have authors that join us, and we've had everything from a local author and his mom to standing room only for national touring authors. So those are a big part of our events. One that I'm kind of proud of was, couldn't have been last year because nothing happened last year. So it was 2 years ago, and it was Jane Klebb had a book out called Harvest the Boat. And it was during the presidential primary season in Iowa. So all of the news people were in Iowa, and we were able to get a C-SPAN photographer come over and film the whole event. It was standing room only. She had some really wonderful speakers and guests. And you can go to cspan.org and Google Francie and Finch Bookshop, and you can watch the session. So Francie and Finch is on C-SPAN. We do a monthly journal club. Catherine Greason is a local artist. She makes these handmade leather journals, and she's really talented. She's also the chalk artist at Trader Joe's, if you ever notice some of the work that she does down there. But we clear off the table in the children's room, and people just sit around and chat and draw and write and create these beautiful little journals. Carrie Smith, who works for us, is a certified Zentangle instructor. And if you don't know what that is, you should take one of her classes. But it's a beautiful form of art. It's like guided, meditative. I call it doodling. She gets real upset with me when I call it that, but there's Zentangle classes. We have a guy that collects stories about downtown mysterious happenings at businesses and buildings over the years, and he does a guided walking tour. It's called the History Mystery Walking Tour of Downtown. That led us to learn about, there's actually an organization in Nebraska, a paranormal investigation organization. And we did an after hours event where they came into the shop and they did an investigation of the building. The building was built in 1894. It's had a ton of different businesses in there. Surely there's some really juicy stories there. And we did pick up some really scary sounds and things from all of their equipment, but I haven't found the story yet. But I got a list here that I wanted to share with you. I mentioned the photography in the building, but we also had a movie filmed there. It's called Level Up. It was a martial arts movie. Skullduggery Films out of Omaha was the production company, and they were there all day with booms and drones and different cameras, and they killed a guy right in the history section. And in the children's room, they had a trade-off between a drug dealer and FBI agent. So that movie is out there in the Netherlands. So we've had Lincoln Symphony Orchestra concert in the shop. It was Anton Miller and his partner Rita Provost. They had a debut CD of their violin and viola. So it was just the two instruments, but we set it up just like a concert, and they did a live performance to for the inaugural kickoff of that CD. That was really lovely. And then the first Friday of every month, of course, we participate in the First Friday Art Walk. I don't know if you're all familiar with it. I wish I could see your pretty faces out there and talk to you, but the First Friday Art Walk is a thing in downtown. I mentioned that we are an art gallery as well as a bookstore. So we have a lot of really beautiful art by original artists, and we change that out pretty regularly. And we are situated between about 5 different art galleries. So the first Friday of every month, there's receptions. We usually have a little live music. We won't usually have the Lincoln Symphony Orchestra for that, but we might have Lewis, who's a UNL student, playing the steel pan, or we might have Tony Church playing the 12-string guitar, or we might have Anne playing some show tunes on the piano. So we try and do that. We're open extended hours. We have a little wine, we have little treats. It really is a wonderful tradition in downtown Lincoln. So we're happy to be a part of that. I'm going to try and share my screen again and show you a little video. So bear with me here, one sec. Okay, so that was a First Friday event, and it's really a kind of a festive evening. That band is called Prairie Psycho. I don't know, some of you might know some of the people on it. The singer was Professor Scott Stanfield from Wesleyan University, And the guy on the percussion was, oh gosh, he's a Union Bank executive. And the other singer, guitar player is Sam Segrist, and he's an English teacher at a local high school. So they love to perform in bookstores, and we love to have them at Francie and Finch. But again, you might see different kinds of local musicians that will travel in. So that's been kind of my life for a while. But you know what? A year ago in March, it all stopped. It just stopped. And we all went through that, but it was pretty amazing. So in March, we had to close our doors along with everybody else, but we didn't close our business. We were able to keep going. And if you think about it, we had a physical product that we could get to people. We were lucky. We weren't like a service organization that couldn't have people to serve anymore. We had an e-commerce setup online. We never really used it, but now we needed it, and that was already in place. So that was a blessing. Our product was in demand. Books were really in demand. They were affordable. And think about, everybody's stuck at home. Either they needed an escape, or they were looking to expand their horizons, do some self-care, some self-help. So we really were positioned to fill that need, and that kept us going, although we were scared to death every single day, not knowing what was going to happen out there. We started, so we had shipping online, and we took phone orders, and I had heard about this thing called curbside pickup from another bookstore. I thought, we can do that. We have this great empty spot right in front of the curb with the benches in front of the store. So I was going to put a big sign out there. And I called the Downtown Lincoln Association and told them what I wanted to do. Well, they bested me, and they got the city to give us a free parking meter. So if you notice downtown, all of the retailers have at least one free hooded parking meter for curbside pickup. So that was wonderful for when people couldn't come into the store. And even now that they're allowed in the store, some people prefer to do the curbside pickup. I think that might be one holdover from this COVID thing, along with Zoom, that might stick around for a while. We did free porch delivery in Lincoln. So I would deliver the books to people's homes. And I joke with my husband, well, at least I know I can be a good pizza delivery driver when this is all over, because people are going to need pizza, and I know the streets now. So we went along that way, and then kind of magical, the people kept coming. New customers kept coming. There's this thing out there, this shop local. It's always kind of been a thing for bookstores because we're an independent little bookstore. We're not part of a big chain. We never did the online thing before. So there was a mentality out there of people that wanted to support small businesses, but it seemed to explode this year. And that was really wonderful for us. So we had people regularly calling us and coming in and saying, I never heard of you, but I wanted to find a local business to get this book from. And then the holiday season hit us, and that was pretty intense. It was just two of us, Megan and I, and we had shortened our hours, and we still have shortened hours because unfortunately all of the businesses that surround us, the people are working from home. They haven't come back yet. So there's no reason to stay open until 7:30 at night if those workers aren't walking by our store to go to the parking garage or to go to dinner. But we were very busy for the holidays. And if you remember, a lot of businesses, we didn't know what the hell was going to happen for fourth quarter because there was this crazy election going on. The Postal Service was threatening to be slowed down, and our supply chain. It was just from minute to minute, we just kept doing whatever we could to keep going. And thankfully, the people kept coming to us. We only had one phone line in the store, and that was kind of crazy. So people were calling, and they were like, I had this list of all these people I have to buy for. Can you help me? Because they didn't want to come into the store. Yes, absolutely. But in the meantime, people are knocking on the window because they're out there at curbside and they couldn't get through on the phone. We just had one computer. It was busy all day long. So after hours, either early in the morning or after night, is when I was processing the online orders. So it was pretty intense. I have one picture I want to show you if I can do this right. So let me share my screen here. Share. Can you all see that? That's Megan in her Santa hat. Can you see that, Steve? Okay, all right, good. So this is in our store, and this right here, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but that's a 6-foot folding table. That's usually, we use that for offsite events. It's filled with 2 rows of books that are ready to pick up. Then there's another 6-foot table with 2 rows of books. Then there's the back counter with a row of books. There's a big pile of them. And then the side counter, you can't see, but there's 2 rows of books there. So these were all special orders that were needing to be picked up. And it was like this for 3 months straight for us. And I talked to a lot of other bookstores that were in the same position. So it was wonderful. It was really wonderful. But you know, it was hard. So now we're through it. We learned a lot. We pivoted. I hate that word, but we pivoted to do some online Zoom events. I was chatting with Luke and Steve beforehand, how that might be part of the ongoing future when we convert to more in-person. We'll still want to have some type of online option, but that's going to have its own learning curve and challenges, but we'll see. I did want to share with you some events that we do have coming up, and one really exciting one this Saturday is Independent Bookstore Day. So all across the country, little bookstores like mine will be celebrating, and this is a thing that has gone on for years. The last Saturday in April every year is Independent Bookstore Day, but this year is extra special because so many of us are just moving into the next phase of the post-COVID pandemic era that we all lived through. So there'll be some real celebrations. We have extended hours. We'll be open from 10 to 6. We have a slate of authors that are going to be there. They're going to be spread out. We're not doing a regular author presentation with chairs set up and everything because we're very conscious of the social distancing. In fact, you'll see scattered throughout the shop, there's some classic book covers that are glued to the floor to kind of remind you to keep your distance. But we're going to have some different authors there, starting with at 11, Linda Stephen will be there. I know she's a friend of this group. She's an amazing origami artist, and she did a children's book year before last. That's an origami art panorama of Holmes Lake the day we went to the park. And she also does these wonderful, I don't know if you can see them, crane earrings, and we're going to be giving away a pair of those. Janine Bryant's going to be there. I think she's a friend of this group too, head of Changing Spaces, and she has a couple of new books out this year. Erin Lee, who's a wonderful new writer, young adult fiction, fantasy, sci-fi kind of book called The Guardian. We're real excited about. Nicole Hansen will be there from Henderson Publishing. They do some wonderful kids books, and she's going to be there in her zany unicorn suit. So bring the kids. And Dorothy Ramsey, who just released a new book. It's kind of middle grade. It's called Millie for Mayor. I have to tell you a funny story. I don't know if Dorothy is on this call, but when I was trying to boost one of my posts yesterday on Facebook, they rejected me. They said that I wasn't an official, I can't think what the terminology was, but I was not an official political party campaigner. And the only thing I could figure out is because I had listed Millie for mayor. So, I told them, Millie's a donkey. And it's a children's book with a civic lesson. So that was kind of funny, but we did get it posted. May 4th, we have Grace Bauer and Hilda Raz, who are really wonderful poets, have some new books that are released. May 18th, Robert McNally and Ray March. This will be totally virtual because they're in California. But they're 2 Bison Books, University of Nebraska Press books, Native American stories. It should be really, really good. And then June 4th, Dr. Helen Fagan, she's a UNL professor, and she has a new book coming out dealing with diversity. So we're excited about that. So those are some of the things that we have going. We're back. We're open to the public. We're still doing curbside. We're still figuring out this Zoom thing. And we're still plugging along and ordering books just about every day. And we're always happy to include any special requests. And then I have one more picture I want to show you. And then if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. So let's see how quickly I can do this one. So this is kind of hard to see, but it is a huge screen in the Rococo Theater. And it was the last screenshot of a presentation that the strategic planning organization for downtown Lincoln did. And it was a couple of years ago. Again, nothing happened last year. But every year they do an update on the strategic plan and what's happening downtown and what the trends are so that we can try and prepare for them and what we should be expecting. And they talked about how, people are looking for urban centers and more workers are living downtown and they're wanting the neighborhood feel. And this was the last shot on the screen. I didn't have any idea, and they posted it up there. The future of downtowns, categories with renewed life, filling vacuums created by e-commerce. And there's a picture of our Francie and Finch Bookshop logo. Isn't that cool? Thanks, John. So I have to mention that Francie and Finch Bookshop logo was created by Amy Ebica. So Amy, I don't know if you're still on the call, but she was one of the first professional people I reached out to, built our website, which is beautiful if you take a look at it, created our logo, Francie and Finch Bookshop. And then she also created, darn it, Amy, I didn't bring any photos of it, but there's a wonderful hand-drawn depiction of our building that we used for our ribbon cutting invitation. And I have it framed in the shop and we use it for different things. And then she also created a hand-drawn map because people would say, why are you in that location? You're kind of off the beaten track. And I'm like, no, we're right on the track. So it's got the Cornhusker Marriott, the Rococo Theater, the Leeds Center. Can't think what else is on there, but we're right in the middle. So and it's a postcard that I give out to the hotels so they can give to their guests so they know how to get around. And I regularly share them with out-of-towners that are visiting. I say, hey, do you know where you're going for dinner? And I pull out a postcard and I can show them on the map where to go. So Amy, thank you. Very talented.
Yeah, I was going to say when Leslie came to me, she was like, I dream of this bookshop where all these activities are happening. And every time I meet with her, I'm so proud. Or every time I go to the shop, I'm so proud because she's really taken that entrepreneurial idea where she has a vision, but so many times you see the vision kind of get transformed as you go through it. But I really feel like this is what you set out to do and this is what you've achieved. And that's why I'm so proud of her for doing such a great job. And you're such a wonderful inspiration to so many business owners, especially me.
Thank you, Amy.
Sorry, I'm kind of multitasking today. I have some people come in and asking me questions, so I don't want to interrupt the stream, but I'm still hanging out here.
Oh, good. Good. Well, Steve, you got any questions for me?
Well, I want to make a quick statement, and then I do have some questions for you. First of all, for those of you that go back a few years, like me, early in my career, I worked in downtown Lincoln, and I remember that Leslie's space used to be a place called Julio's, which was a great Mexican place in downtown Lincoln. And I remember one evening running into Governor Bob Kerrey and his girlfriend at the time, Deborah Winger, and he had a whirlwind romance with. So that really dates me. But anyway, that building has been there for a long time, has been home to a lot of cool businesses, and is very historic. My question for you is this: during the pandemic, when you started shifting to online sales, and you mentioned you just had one phone line, one computer, have you thought about expanding in your capacity that way? Adding a computer, adding phone lines, that sort of stuff, since phone orders could be an ongoing thing?
Yeah, that's interesting. So when we realized how dire it was, we were too busy to stop. So we just went full force ahead. But when things kind of calmed down in January, I did get a second computer. I actually got 3 computers, and I'm set up. So where I am right now, I can remote into the shop. I can process all the orders. I can do all kinds of things, and I can do it at the same time that Megan is working. So we've definitely done that. We still only have the one phone line. I need to get that figured out. Yeah, I need to do that, but I have not yet. But the computer's been working, and we have 2 stations now. So when we have our busy events and we have full houses, even before it was kind of crazy, I would be out in the crowd with my little square on my phone taking credit cards. But now we have 2 stations at the counter, so that'll be much more efficient. Yeah.
Other questions for Leslie?
We'll extend our hours too.
Okay. Other questions? Come on, I know you got them.
I've got a comment of a compliment rather than a question, Leslie, and I want to compliment you on your creativity. You know, you said you didn't like the word pivot. I don't either. And I think we tend to want to recreate or expand our creativity, and you've done an amazing job at that, Leslie.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I mentioned extending hours. So I kind of gauge when I'm going to go back to our old hours by the parking garage, because I used to, if you think about it, all these business people around me, they would start their day at like 8 or 9 in the morning, well, 8 in the morning. We didn't open until 10. So by the time I got downtown, there were no good parking spots left. I would end up on the roof. And then at the end of night, 8 o'clock, when I'm done, the elevators stopped running. I'd have to walk all the way up to the top of the roof. Well, now I can park wherever I want to. So I kind of gauge as the parking levels fill up. I think I'm up to the 3rd level now. So when it gets up to the 5th or 6th, then I'll know more business people are back downtown, and I'll extend my hours for them.
You get yourself a private stall.
I got my pick right now.
I had a question. So, I mean, it sounds like kind of a key value add, in addition to being local, that you have over the e-retailers is, that it's kind of like a community gathering place, and perhaps it's a different sort of community that would gather in a bookstore versus a coffee shop. And in some ways, it seems like the books are kind of like, well, that's kind of how you monetize it in some ways, but the actual real, value that you're adding to the community is that, like, hey, there's a way that, people can be gathering together. I'm wondering if you're kind of thinking about, I don't know, maybe, I mean, are the plans for the future to maybe even lean further into that, or maybe find, additional ways to monetize the fact that, hey, there's a community that is that you're stimulating?
Well, yeah, that's a really good point. So the building that we're in right now, we share the same wall with the Woods Brother building right next to us, which is equally beautiful. It's not quite as old, but it's a beautiful piece of architecture, and it's empty right now. And it was empty when we moved in, and I often thought we would knock a hole in that wall if somebody wanted to build a coffee shop next to us. I don't think I personally have the wherewithal to expand to a completely new business with a coffee shop next to us, but I would love to work with somebody, because we have some real synergy between, we do share some of the same customers and that type of thing. And also the art gallery. Right now we have the art gallery is combined with the books, and that's really important because it creates an aesthetic that I want to surround myself with. And people tell me all the time when they come in the shop that they think it's beautiful, and they ask me if I designed it, and I just laugh and I say, just put books on the shelf. Books in any room make the room look better. That's all I do, and put some local paintings on. So I don't see us expanding in that direction. We'll keep up the online. There are a lot of interesting things that are going on out there that, small businesses like mine are learning about how to do and how to do better. And we're always looking for new ways to connect the dots with other businesses and other organizations and ideas. Like, for example, I wrote down a couple in here because I thought I might get a question like this. Jazz in June, every Tuesday in June. I don't know if any of you have been there, but the Sheldon Art Gallery, downtown the university, they have beautiful gardens in the back, and they bring in these live, amazing jazz performers, and people come and they spread their blankets and they have picnics. And I'm like, I know those people are my customers. I know they are. They appreciate art. They appreciate music. They appreciate good books. I'm going to set up a booth at Jazz in June. They thought I was crazy. Who's going to buy books at a concert like that? They're going to buy, a hot dog or a gyro from Parthenon. They're not going to buy books. Well, they bought books. And more importantly, they learned about us, and they came back to the store, and they became our customers. So
that's awesome, because we go to those a lot, and when you sit there and you watch people, they're usually in clusters of 3 or 4 or 5, but what are they doing? 80% of them are reading something, as well as having something to drink and something to eat.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Yeah, those are our customers. So another one I wanted to share was so whenever I hear about speakers, so like the chamber, their annual speaker this year, and forgive me, I can't even think the name of them. But when I heard they were doing a speaker, I Googled right away, does he have a book? Yeah, he has a book. So I reached out to them and I'm like, hey, you know, the author probably would love to get his books in people's hands. And we report to the New York Times bestseller list. So that's important to authors. They need to know that. I said, we can, and we're a member, you know. So they promoted us at the end of the event. They put a big thing up there called Francie and Finch for the book. And we sent some book plates to the author and he autographed them for us. So we're always looking for connections like that to get books into people's hands. And another one I wanted to share was events. So we do a lot of offsite pop-up type things. In fact, if we were in person, Steve, I would have a table there with some, you know, some cool books to sell. But there was an organization, it was the American Architects International Convention, was at the Cornhusker. And I'm like, man, we're like in a historic building. It's architecturally amazing. Thomas Rogers Kimball, who's a famous architect, it was his building. So I reached out to him. We held a reception for, you know, some of their members. And then I thought, well, Ed Zimmer, I got to get a hold of Ed Zimmer. So sure enough, he came, he researched the building, he did a talk. And then I talked to the landlord. I said, I got to get the keys to the third floor. I got to show these people the third floor. So all of these things came together and it was a really fun little event. So we try and make those connections.
Any other questions for Leslie? If not, make sure you know, head downtown, check out her store, stay downtown, visit other local merchants and restaurants. Downtown Lincoln is a gem. We're lucky to have it, and along with the Haymarket downtown. And so if we don't use them, we'll lose them. So get down there, buy a book. You know, you're going to need something to read over the summer, and I can't think of any better place to get it. So head to Francie and Finch. And Leslie, where can everybody follow you on social media?
Yes, thank you so much. Francie and Finch on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And then our website is francieandfinch.com, and sign up for our newsletter. It goes out twice a week. And like us on social media. I would love that. Thank you.
Okay, well, Leslie, thank you so much for your time. And I regret that we couldn't have you in person and selling books. The Seward Bookstore presented at Perk up a few years ago, and she brought books and she sold more than a few that day. We've also had people sell socks and any number of things. So
Carla was wonderful. When I was doing my research, she let me shadow her, and she's been a wealth of information and inspiration. So book selling really is a collegiate kind of group. And you know, in Lincoln, you have the bookstore capital of the state. So where I'm located, I've got Novel Ideas a block away. I got Blue Stem is 2 blocks away. Indigo, they were down the Haymarket, they've moved now, but we got the library. You know, it's a literary haven. So we're happy to be there.
all right. Well, thanks again, Leslie. I really appreciate it. And thank you all for attending today. We appreciate your presence. Join us next week for Charles Brewer with Stir 22 Lounge and Stir Fast Grill. Again, Charles is kind of a YouTube star for us, and join us next week to find out why. With that, stay well, enjoy the weekend. The weather's going to be better, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care. Thanks, Leslie.